Time for rolling.
Welcome to Time for Rolling eSports, the weekly podcast that brings you Vainglory eSports. From predictions to recaps and analysis, we present to you the best in professional Vainglory. Now here's your hosts, Endless and Crude. It's
Time for rolling.
Hey, how's everyone doing out there? Welcome back to the podcast. It is Endless here. On this episode, Crude and I are going to be joined by our friend BrutalTurtle from Equifax. We're going to be talking a little review of Worlds once again, a lot of 5v5, a lot of speculation, and talk about the map, everything that's going to be happening in the future of 2018. Just a really nice chat while we're ending out the year. I hope everyone had a happy holidays and continues to have a happy the rest of their 2017, I should say. Before we get into this episode real quick, I'm going to go ahead and talk about our lovely sponsors and friends. Of course, Mobile eSports is a great company that focuses on all things mobile gaming. They host tournaments, community events, all based around all the great mobile games that are starting to come out. Mobile gaming is the future, so we are so excited to be on board with them and doing more with mobile games altogether, especially Vainglory. With 2018 hopefully being one of the biggest year for Vainglory yet. We can't wait to get them more involved, doing more community events and getting more content out for you guys. So make sure you follow them on their social medias, the mobile news and the mobile esports. Also all their web pages, of course. All those are going to be in the show notes. That way you can go ahead and have a direct link to them. Our other friends are the NACL, the North American Champs League. That is a great tournament run by the community, and the Season 15 registration is open right now. It will be ending here relatively soon. Season starts January 15th, so you have a couple of weeks to get that team together, a couple of weeks to practice and get ready. It's going to be a great season. A lot of big names involved in this tournament. So it's definitely going to be a fun tournament to watch out for. Going to be a lot of good casting games. I know I'm excited, and I hope you guys enjoy this conversation we have today. And yeah, here's for 2018.
The right targets. That is one trade. T-Tigers is still pretty healthy. Tries to jump in. He finds one. This is a big turnaround for Liberation X. They might get the third. They might find an ace here onto Lost Boytov. Surrey Strike is not enough. Donna goes down. He might go for Donna Twips. He's gonna get one. He's gonna get two. Lost Boytov.
Lost Boytov. He does it. He gets the 2 versus 1 turnaround under the turret.
He lives
This man
too.
is a god. That gauntlet was...
Are you guys ready for 5v5 Brutal?
I am. I'm very excited for it. I'm actually getting a new iPad tomorrow, so it's going to be... so it'll definitely be able to run 5v5, which is a nice thing. I'm pretty excited for it, so I'll get my game as soon as it comes out. I've got my early access ticket.
What do you get in what iPad?
The Mini 4. I have a Mini 2 right now.
That's what I have.
Oh, very nice, very nice.
No, it sucks. I need a new one.
Yeah, well, I'm looking on the past with this Mini 2. It's rough.
Yeah, I mean it I don't know, it works okay, but like I'm assuming once 5v5 comes out that the second generation is not going to be able to run.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about. Because I definitely get like a decent amount of frame rate lag already.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Especially when you get those nice graphics being laid out, a nice Arden double gauntlet.
You don't have to worry about that double gauntlet anymore, though.
Yeah. It's a nice relief.
But let's think about that. If a double gauntlet affected our frame rate, what about 5 characters throwing out ultimates and everything else?
You got a fearsome shade. You've got 5 fortress wolves on the fold.
Oh. Honestly, we can talk about players. We talk about analysts and coaches, but the casters, I just feel for them. It's gonna be insane switching to.
That's a big trend. There's so much to learn too.
Yeah, I mean, granted, like Tasty and like a lot of them do have experience with like League of Legends, and a lot of them already have that kind of experience anyway. So most of like the true professional casters will be all right, but like me and the other amateur ones that do like the amateur leagues, oh god, it's just like we're
It'll be
screwed.
tough. Yeah, following the games. Yeah, I'm horrible at 5v5 MOBAs. I've never been able to really get into one.
Yeah.
So it'll definitely be a new experience for me, especially as an analyst, trying to figure out this transition. I've been trying to play some League over the break.
Okay,
learn a little bit from that and hopefully apply it.
Yeah, it'll be interesting when SEMC kind of gives the green light to content creators and all the players to start like, I don't know if they're going to allow players in early, but I've heard rumors about, just content creators starting to make content, and I'm really excited just to see, like the famous,
cool.
like Scoundrel and like all the big YouTubers start making videos about that kind of stuff. Because I need to learn like rotations. There's so much I need to learn.
Yeah, me too.
All right, let's go ahead and get into this episode 70, I do believe. Everything is going good. Hey, how's it going, everyone? Endless55 here, and welcome to episode 70, big 70, of Time for Rolling Esports. Crude Sloth, how's it going?
Good, man. I'm back. You went one without me. Did everything go smoothly?
No, it didn't. It actually fell apart without you. No, actually, it was
sorry
fine.
to hear that.
No, it was fine. It was fine. It is Christmas Eve currently as we are recording this, so happy holidays, Merry Christmas to all the listeners out there. We are joined by a very special guest. This is a great present for Crude and I. Once again, we have BrutalTurtle. How's it going, man?
It's going awesome. This is a nice Christmas present for me as well to be on here again. It's always nice chatting with you guys.
Yeah, we are back for some Vainglory talk. We have some. Once again, I haven't given up on Worlds yet. People may be tired about Worlds, but I'm going to talk a little bit to Brutal about his opinion on Worlds, and then we'll move on to 5v5 and more of our conversations that we already had in the beginning beginning of the episode that you heard a little preview of. But 5v5 is the main talk and main topic on everyone's mind. Nothing really matters right now besides the golden tickets. Do you have a golden ticket? Do you have a golden ticket? I think we all have a golden ticket in this chat room right now, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, having a golden ticket right now is nice, but then again, it sucks because I'm just like, when is this 2.12 coming out? I need it. I need the 5v5 early access.
Yeah, I can't wait to cash that in.
It'll be the first of the year, I bet. That's my guess. Like, I mean, as soon as the holidays are over.
I guess. I mean, what? Okay, how long has it truly been since 2.11? Has it been 2 weeks? No, I don't even remember.
It's been longer than that, I think. I lose track of time, though.
Yeah, I've lost track of time with this patch as well.
Yeah, 2.11 hasn't been really that important with Worlds being on 2.10 and everyone's still worrying about that. But speaking of Worlds, I don't know, we can go ahead and get into it a little bit and just quick overview, and then we'll get into the 5v5 talk and what we're excited for about that. But, Worlds was, pretty surprising overall, I would say. If we go back and look at your picks and everything we had talked about when we did your the VG Pro little mini series with you, your finals are Cloud9 and Team Solo Mid. Those were two teams that everyone looks at, and those are two teams that fell short. But even going into group stage, looking at your group stage specifically, is there a specific group that you were most surprised about? Obviously, the group of death, but then you had Group C with Tribe Rocks. There's just so much happening.
Yeah, I was shook with everything. It was pretty incredible, honestly. Like Worlds was just like a great showcase of the underdog.
Yeah.
Predictions were absolutely destroyed. VG Pro tweeted out after day one. TSM was knocked out that 0% of the brackets were right. That was incredible. All these people who contributed put their thoughts into it. Not one person could have got past those proper guesses in the group stage. It was a true treat and a surprise at the same time. I was super impressed with the regions. Impunity, a team I thought that wasn't going to make it past the group stages, made it quite far and overall in Worlds, and really set the stage and showed off their region, their home arena. Definitely built some home ground pride.
Mm-hmm.
Rocks taken out right away, TSM being taken out right away, Detonation being taken out right away. Like nobody could have predicted that.
Yeah.
My picks, I went with what I genuinely felt were the strongest teams. My gut feeling, I went with the safe picks, with the finals of a Cloud9 TSM, two top teams that we had seen killing it throughout the year, and that was not the case. I thought Cloud9 would take Tribe. I was completely wrong on that aspect, but overall, I was very impressed with the showing at Worlds. The teams were fantastic, the players were fantastic, and I think that that's really what makes a great tournament, is just the surprise.
So overall, like I mean, okay, obviously you have Cloud9. You had in your bracket Cloud9 winning it all, but I'm gonna narrow it down to three teams: Cloud9, TSM, and Rocks. Who do you think the biggest upset was to lose? Like in your opinion, like what were you most surprised at? Was it TSM going, first round, or what was it? Cloud9 getting knocked out by their co-region Tribe, or
I definitely would say it's TSM. I was not expecting to wake up to see TSM was out. I really think Hunter stood any chance against Ace and TSM, and then to wake up the next day to see that TSM wasn't making it, that really, really surprised me. The Rock situation with Druid being sick and not being able to play definitely hindered their performance, but regardless, it was definitely a big upset. And I do think that Tribe is a powerhouse, and they've been on the rise for quite a while. And when we talked last, I mentioned Cloud9 and Tribe would have a close fight. And who won that series would probably take Worlds. But I definitely was impressed to see Tribe execute and come through on the live stage. It's nice to see Max Green coming so far in such little time.
Right.
He truly is like a staple of what a fantastic player really is. He's got amazing work ethic. He makes things happen at such a young age, and it's amazing to see.
Yeah, I mean, Zio, obviously, I wouldn't say, he gets, all the credit, but, just being the laner, the carry, he makes a lot of crazy plays. But Max Green, he did some crazy things that he definitely needs a credit for. But, overall, I think even though 0% got bracket right, there's a lot of upsets. That's something that we needed to see. We needed to see this true healthy esports environment where we have teams that are underdogs, make different plays. One thing I want to bring up is your Group B and Group D. You got China last, and China really showed up, and that was what I was most surprised about.
Super surprised about that as well. I was not expecting that in the slightest.
Yeah, because Team Kraken, they end up do fall to Impunity later on, but Team Kraken was a team that no one had heard of, but Team Kraken showed up. They
did.
Yeah.
Yeah, that bit me in the butt.
Yeah, but so overall, obviously, I don't know if did you watch much, or were you more of I'll wake up in the morning and catch some VODs or whatever else is still on?
I watched the majority of it. There are a couple games that I did miss, as it was during smack in the middle of the exam season.
Right.
Yeah.
But I definitely, due to my my poor sleep schedule, was easily able to accommodate the late night games, and it was a treat to see the teams compete. But there was a lot of information that I ended up learning over Twitter. Like, for example, Red Cannon's Pain Gaming making it onto the quarterfinals. That definitely was a big surprise to me.
Right.
And watching their VODs and seeing how far they've come over the past year after seeing them at last Worlds, where I felt that they had underperformed. It was really quite the spectacle. I didn't have very high expectations for a lot of the teams from the other regions, and they definitely surprised me. I thought it would be NA, EA on top throughout the whole tournament with no competition, no contention from any of the other regions, but I most definitely was wrong.
Yeah, Pain Gaming kind of got 2-0'd by Cloud9, really dominated, and then we see them take a full 5 game against Ace Gaming. They end up losing, but they went a full 5 game against Ace. Yeah. So it's they were definitely hit or miss, but they definitely proved that they were close to those top teams.
Mm-hmm.
Which is interesting. I don't know on your point as an analyst. I don't know, while looking back through VODs, if you noticed a big difference between regions. between SA, SEA, EU, NA, or if you feel like the skill gap is closing.
Oh, I really feel the skill gap is closing for sure. Like this Worlds, I think, was a true testament to that. EU with G2, I didn't expect them to do as well as they did, especially as seeing as SK were the favorites for people throughout that whole second split for the EU VG8. So I didn't have very high expectations for them, but they showed up and definitely proved that their region is not something to laugh about, making it past the group stages. China, they definitely are closing that gap. We saw Red Cannons, Pain Gaming represent their region super well as well. Impunity, all teams that I thought there was a far larger gap between their skill level and ours with NA and EA. And that gap is definitely closing. There was some very intense competition. Even the series that were lost, you mentioned Pain Gaming going to Game 5 against Ace. That was unexpected. And it really does show the true level of competition that we're building up across the world globally with Vainglory, and I think it's amazing to see.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing to see now, but when we transition into 5v5 and what we're about to start to see even more, like I've already said this once, but like when we look back on this Worlds next year, I mean, it's gonna matter, but for the most part, it's not gonna matter because we're gonna have 5v5. Like it's like we're basically just entering a whole new game. Like
Totally.
we are deleting Vainglory and downloading a new game and having to learn and start from the beginning.
You're right.
Which a part of that frustrates me because I so want to see like another 3v3 Worlds to see the difference from this year to next year. You know what I'm saying? Like it just kind of like, don't get me wrong, I'm super excited for 5v5, but I'm like, oh, at the same time, can we still do a 3v3 or?
Yeah, it definitely would be nice to see that growth, the growth we've seen so far, and see how that continues. See if regions like EU can surpass NA. See if EA will come back on top and really continue the stories that we've already started amongst each of the regions. But I definitely agree with you on 5v5 being almost an entirely new game. The only thing that will really translate over is item knowledge, gameplay knowledge to some extent in terms of hero mechanics,
Right.
hero running. But aside from that, like I think people should be able to make similar calls, shot calls, in the sense of if they should engage, disengage. But even then, everything's going to be changed. Players who have a background in 5v5 MOBAs will definitely have an edge going into this. I think there's going to be a larger need for analysts and coaches with expanding the teams, making sure that those expanded teams, have the synergies. It'll be interesting to see if we see some crossovers between regions with the future teams being created. I know TSM has a lot of interest in Rox Armada, and bringing those two together could be a very interesting combination in a 5v5 team. There's so much that's unknown right now, and I think that these next few months will be amazing for us as a community and really put us to the test to see what the future of Vainglory will truly look like.
Yeah, and that's the thing people don't truly realize. Unless you have a League of Legends background and a League of Legends esports background where you understand how player transitions actually work, they don't just work region to region. There are so many players that can switch regions based on contracts and just going to a team that they think they have the best chance to perform on. And seeing a player from a different region truly switch, we have not seen that yet in Vainglory. Like, I mean, we have Iraqi Zoro, who went from EU to NA, but other than that, a Rox Armada, any type of EA region coming to NA, that is going to be huge if it does happen.
I agree. And the organizations definitely have the money to make that happen. And I'm sure that they have the interest in making something like that happen as well. Putting powerhouses together will definitely be something interesting to see how well these teams mesh together. And if they're able to stay on top or build some superstars out of underdogs, it'll be really, really cool to see. We're going to see a lot of new players make it into the competitive scene with new spots opening up due to the 5-man rosters, but also players who may be decent with the current Vainglory, but very strong with like a League of Legends background. It'll be cool to see them over and see how they do. Like I know I saw a tweet the other day about I'm the Doom hitting Challenger, which is the top tier in League of Legends, which means that he definitely will have an edge going into this 5v5 transition. It'll be cool to see how that places him amongst the top players in the EU region. Um, I know some of the other teams definitely have players who have had some sort of MOBA experience, if it's been Dota, if it's been League. I know just from watching 5v5 that there definitely are a lot of parallels in terms of understanding the rotations and the mechanics of 5v5 MOBA. That'll definitely become very valuable in the future. The competitive scene will be very, very cool. It'll be an interesting transition. I think it'll be a treat for even the casual player to witness.
So do you think that, I mean, talking about the transition, do you think it'll be kind of how we saw with, like, when first competitive Vainglory came out with 3v3, it was like you had like one, maybe two teams dominating from each region. I mean, we've still seen that recently, with like Cloud9 TSM, and then you got SKG2 for those regions. Do you think it'll kind of be like that, like starting out where it'll just be one team that, really knows what's going on in the 5v5 and the other team's kind of struggling to get there, where, recently just saw with 3v3 Tribe, kind of, surpassing, you could say, C9 and TSM? Or do you think it'll be a little bit more even and, like, people not know what's going on?
See, that's a really good point that you bring up. I do think that there's going to be quite a large skill gap at the beginning where the teams who have the 5v5 experienced players will have the advantage. Then it'll be the job of the other teams to learn through scrims and through ranked gameplay what the meta truly is. I think it's important for the community to understand that with this new game mode coming out, or I guess you could even call it a new game altogether, players are going to need to be patient. There's going to be a lot of things that appear OP at the beginning, just due to a lack of understanding and also a lack of, I guess, testing on a full scale. The PvE testers do a fantastic job with ironing out and preparing 5v5 for everybody's gameplay, but it's really the true test once you give it to everybody and players are able to test everything in their own way. The game's not going to be perfect when it first comes out, but with time, it'll balance out, and we will have undoubtedly the top mobile MOBA, let alone possibly the best MOBA ever released.
I like that. And that's the thing that, I challenge people to go on Vainglory's Twitch real quick. Scroll down all the way to the bottom. Let's go back to 2015 autumn season. You're gonna see a whole different game at that point, and you're not gonna notice every little update that has changed so many things. So 5v5 in February to 5v5 in December is gonna be a whole different ball game, and that's what people are going to be excited about 5v5. They're really going to have high expectations and hope it's the best it can be. But there's, like you just said, there's going to be a lot of growing pains, and not only just for the game, but for the esports scene, and how the tournaments operate each weekend, how long they'll be. Are we going to see longer games? Because if we go and look at the 5v5 matches that did happen, the PvE played first for the 5v5 showcase. A lot of just, kills. There was just a lot of, it was a slaughter. They were just running around killing everyone. But when we look at NA versus SEA, there was much more strategy. There was back and forth. NA had the lead, but then SEA came back and won. It was almost a 40-minute match. If we start seeing that happen, we could see some of these competitive weekends happening longer and longer.
Very true, very true. Yeah, it's hard to say because, like, even Vainglory in its current state, if you put two teams together who don't truly understand the game, it tends that the game gets dragged out longer as they don't know when to capitalize on various situations. And that may have been the case with that matchup, seeing as it was like their first time, or maybe they had tested it previously on PBE, the Rise. But once the meta develops and players understand how they can finish the games, you're going to find less of those stalemates in which people are waiting for large periods of time before making a move. That'll cut down, and you're going to start seeing a lot more decisive action being made to close out games and win them ultimately, and hopefully cut the game mode down to those 25, 30 minutes that we currently see in a lot of our matches.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw out a question here. I'm gonna see if you can answer on the spot. But let's look at challengers for Vainglory currently, the whole challenger scene. 5v5, obviously you're adding a lot of players to rosters here. You have 5 starters, maybe 1 to 2 subs. How important or how much does this scene need to grow when it comes to players to have a true, healthy, competitive 5v5 scene? When it comes to challenger teams, splitting up and certain players going to different rosters. I mean, I just feel like there's a lot of players that need to be filled to have these 5v5 rosters.
Yeah, that's very true. There's a lot of players that haven't even touched the competitive scene that are fantastic players in ranked, and I think that it'll give opportunities to them, maybe pique their interest to make that transition over to joining a VIS team. But I think that the greatest challenge for VIS teams in general will be sticking together. Managing a 3v3 team is quite difficult right now. Just picture 5v5, 5 personalities, 5 people who can clash, have different interests, different schedules. It'll be very hard to get that commitment that you need to be a top challenger team. But with that being said, I think a lot of the top players will be put together and form top teams. We currently have that in a way right now where it's not too hard to predict the top 8 teams within the VIS challengers. Of course, you get some upsets. But aside from that, I think that you're going to see a similar pattern once those teams start to combine together to form even stronger powerhouses, leaving a bit of a skill gap there. But I think that it also will hopefully the game will grow a lot more with this 5v5 introduction. Hopefully we see growth, which allows for those spots to be filled, new players transitioning over, new players progressing, new players being able to show off their skill in this 5v5 game mode. It'll be very interesting to see. But as I said before, I really think that the struggle will be keeping the teams together once they're built.
Do you have anything to add, Crude, so far?
I'm thinking, but I don't have anything right now. I mean, yeah.
All right,
I don't know.
Then let's continue to pick Brutal's his brain when it comes to 5v5. If you know, you don't have to share. You can tell me you're not allowed to share. But when it comes to drafting for 5v5, what are we going to see when it comes to competitive scene drafting? Currently, right now, we have a double ban draft. You ban, you pick, you pick, you ban, continue on. How important or how much change will we see with the draft when it comes to 5v5? Does anyone know?
You see, if I tested more on PBE, I'd actually have an answer. But this is me not genuinely knowing. I'm sure that there will be some sort of unique new draft format added, as it definitely will be necessary, with 5 heroes being picked. I don't know how many bans they're going to introduce initially. I'd like to see them start with at least one.
Yeah.
Maybe some sort of double ban integrated, but there are 5 heroes being picked, so that's quite a few heroes being taken out. I think it's worth noting that a lot of the heroes in Vainglory can be played in multiple positions, and I think a lot of people forget that.
Right.
Though we may not have a large number of heroes, you're able to play many of them in the lane, jungle, captain roles. You can play them weapon, CP. Of course, there's exceptions to that with your mages who strictly go CP, but a lot of the heroes have been designed to be flexible and multi-path, creating basically new heroes via that, changing your build path. But yeah, I'd like to see double ban to start, and then I think that we'll see the need if two. It's possible 2 is too much. Because what does that result in? 14 heroes being picked slash. That could definitely. That's a large portion of our current heroes.
Yeah, only 38,
and you
I
definitely
believe.
don't want the game stale. Yeah, you don't want to see the same heroes every game. But I guess it also comes down to if players are feeling certain heroes are OP, like currently single ban. There's not a lot of strategy that goes into it right now. I'm noticing in ranked, it's a matter of taking up Varya. Nobody.
Yeah, I was just gonna bring that up.
Yeah, nobody wants to play with her or against her, and but I think once it comes to the competitive scene, players are gonna have counters to almost everything. I know League of Legends has a ton of bans. I don't know, but they have also a ridiculous number of heroes.
Yeah, they have a lot of bans and a lot of heroes.
I know, just from me playing and dabbling around with League over the break, trying to learn some of those 5v5 mechanics. That's a very hard game to get into, I'm finding. Just sheer number of items and heroes. I'm just a little bit lost on that aspect. I've got my one hero that I play, Dr. Mundo, and I'm like, wow, this is an interesting hero that you're showing me. I've never seen this hero in my life. What is he throwing at me? And it just takes it's a big curve in that sense. So I actually think that I applaud Vainglory for that, their ability to use heroes in multiple different roles, because the abilities stay the same. People understand the abilities. It's easier to learn each hero and their abilities in Vainglory than it is League. But at the same time, we have a significant number of paths and play styles for each of those heroes, making it appear as if there are more than just our current number of heroes, almost doubling it.
Yeah, which so Paulie, he is a friend of ours in Time for Rolling Guild. He likes to think about how things work much more than Crude and I do. And he brought up a good point on our last episode that I want to throw at you and see if you can think of anything else that is similar in this case. But, you know, we look at Ringo and how Ringo was made. Ringo was definitely made for, I would say, a 3v3 format. He doesn't really have much AoE damage. He just is a single target. I'm going to blow you up. You know,
Yeah.
is it important to have like a rework of some of these heroes to make them viable, or will we see Ringo still just as viable and he doesn't really necessarily need a rework? Other heroes such as, you know, obviously Fortress is going to get his 5 wolves, but you know, there's other heroes that may need a rework when it comes to 5v5.
Yeah, I definitely see a lot of heroes. A lot of our carries right now, they tend to get overwhelmed with against 3 heroes. I think Ringo's a fantastic example of that. I think Kestrel's another example of one of those heroes that can get overwhelmed easily by some sort of dive comp, in which she can only really handle one target at a time. So it'll definitely be interesting to see if SEMC goes about the route of a rework, but it may be just a game style change. I can see Ringo being very good at dueling one-on-one in the lane and just building some sort of snowball based off of that, still giving him some sort of viability.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to tell and make those predictions right now, but I think that is a really good point that Polly breaks up. It would be nice to see if that is the case. Some heroes reworked. We had Petal reworked a number of times, so I'm sure that SEMC would be open to the idea of reworking a couple of the current heroes to make them more viable in that route. Maybe bringing some of our talents to life, such as Ringo's, I guess, I don't know what they call it, the like bullet split.
Yeah.
Yeah, where it splits into, yeah.
Exactly. Maybe they'll integrate something along that as they already have it developed. Definitely making that an easier transition in terms of creating and rebuilding a hero's kit. Regardless, I think that these are all things that will come with time. And I think that's all we can really leave it up to at this point. See how the game develops, see if there are heroes that do need reworking. I can see Petal is another example, one of those heroes whose minions aren't going to last a second.
Yeah.
No.
There's definitely going to be a lot of balancing. I know Churn Walker was built with the intentions of 5v5, just by the nature of his kit and his gameplay. And I believe it's been mentioned a few times in the past by Nivmet or Playoff Beard. So it'll be cool to see those heroes in actions, those ones who have been optimized. I think 5v5 has been the attention of a lot of the more recent heroes, as they know that this has been something that is imminent and that we're going to all have to translate over to.
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious when that line would be, like when they were like, I mean, even before they announced it or anything, like when they knew that they were going to be going to 5v5, what I would want to know what hero was released when they were like, okay, this is our first hero that's going to be intent on 5v5. That's just me thinking out loud right now, but
No, that's true. That actually would be interesting. I'm not sure. I know they've been working on 5v5 for quite a while.
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. But like,
quite a while. But yeah, I know what you mean. When was the point where they're like, this has to be a hero for 5v5? Like, I know Churn Walker definitively was meant for 5v5, but I'm sure that.
But I mean, they announced it way before Churn Walker.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The thing that's interesting me, like Paulie again, he made another good point. Like to me, I was like, Glaive is useless because Glaive, he afterburns in, he knocks a carry towards your team to like expose that carry and burst them down, and then he's fine because there's really just like maybe a jungler and a captain you're against. But when Glaive afterburns into a team of 5, he's screwed. But then Paulie's like, I think Glaive his afterburn's gonna be used more in a defensive way. If someone jumps on your carry, he's gonna maybe afterburn to knock someone farther away from that hard carry instead of Glaive being more aggressive. He was talking about Glaive being more defensive than aggressive.
Yeah, I definitely can see his playstyle changing. I think within the early game, if you're playing him as a jungler, you can see ganking coming out through his afterburn and using that on an offensive manner. But as the game gets later, he doesn't want to place himself in such a risky situation. and hence play the back line, the defensive line. And I think that's something we're going to see through a lot of heroes, that transition in gameplay. You're not going to be playing heroes the traditional play style, and there's going to be metas that develop for each of the heroes. And I think that'll be really cool to see. I think that's also a fantastic point that Polly brings up there. It definitely it's not the same game. We're gonna have to adapt, improvise, adapt, overcome, as Bear Grylls would say.
Oh, nice. Let's see. I was just gonna bring up a point, and now I've lost it. Dang it. Crude, you got anything?
No, not really.
All right, let's have a lull real quick while I think of what I was gonna say. Damn it, it was a good point. I'll cut this out. No worries, guys. Oh, I remember. Okay, let's action. We'll begin again. All right, so Brutal, I know you are on Echo Fox and you work with players that are a jungler, a laner, a captain, but now we're seeing 3 more lanes. How different and how big of a challenge is it going to be for maybe a jungler to go into lane and have to worry about CS and, switch to that almost laner role?
It'll be very tough, but I definitely think the transition will be much easier for a laner and a support going into this. Junglers who want to make that change and switch to being a lane position will be quite difficult, but it's not impossible. I think everybody's going to go through this period of change and adaptation. So if you want to do it, the transition time during the beginning of the release is the key time to do it, as you're going to get roasted a lot less by your teammates, as they're going to have an understanding of the transition and the difficulty of the transition, and hopefully a lenience towards your mistakes. But today I've been playing lane almost the entire day, trying to get a feel for it, and I'm really noticing how bad I am as a laner compared to my jungling. I'm significantly lower in skill when it comes to laning, just because I don't have the experience. And I guess the knowledge and the map awareness to be able to execute to the level that I'm able to execute my jungling. But I think that definitely the transition period, if you want to be a mid laner, you want to be a top laner, you want to be a bottom laner, the time to do it is the release of 5v5. Maybe get some practice right now as a laner. But it's not going to be easy. See, like farming the jungle, it's not nearly as difficult to get that last hit than what it is when you're laning. I've definitely noticed that while playing League of Legends as well. My CS is atrocious. But hopefully players are able to adapt, and I'm sure they'll be able to. And hopefully with time, everybody will be loving the new 5v5 that we're being given.
Yeah, because, when you look at Flash X, who, no matter what he decides to do with his career, he's a captain. And then he also has Lucky Bread, who's a captain. Flash played top lane in that game. So if that's something he has to do, that's Flash having to completely adapt and have a true mechanical skill in order to play a game at a high level. So I don't know how the first season of 5v5 is going to go. It could be a disaster.
It really could be. I agree. I'm not sure how they're going to do the transition. I know I'm not even sure when they're going to make 5v5 the competitive game mode. I know they've mentioned in the past that they're going to kind of give it time and see what the players like. We might see 3v3 for the next 6 months while they work on 5v5, trying to fix any bugs, balance the heroes out, because that will all take
I think they announced at the end of the competition, at the end of Worlds, that all the competitive will be 5v5 in 2018.
Really?
Like, I think it's, yeah, that's a playoff beard said. It was at the end of the stage when Tribe was up there and they won. He's like, we have one more announcement. All of 2018 competitive will be 5v5. And everyone went nuts.
I think that there's going to be that first season, or whatever format they end up going with, those first matches played on 5v5. That's something interesting. It'll definitely, I don't know, hopefully they give enough time. We are in the off season for players to adapt and make that transition. I guess that's the goal with all of this. But wow, I wasn't sure that. I must have missed that. But damn, that's interesting. Now I got to really keep looking into that 5v5 in preparation.
because I mean, if that is true and 5v5 is, because I guess that makes sense because what they did this year, they looked at Tribe versus Rogue, and the whole year, Tribe or Immortals played better, so they got the wild card. I mean, I guess you can't look at a whole year if the team played on 3v3 in the beginning of the year and then it switched to 5v5 halfway through. It's almost like you just have to commit to one and then run with that for that whole year. And like we already said, that first season may be a little sketchy, but they have to just fight through the growing pains.
That's true.
Yeah, because you'd rather do that and like just have a little bit of a sketchy first season and then play 3v3 all year, and then like, I mean, you'll have to make that. You just have to make that switch at some point. So you might as well just get it over with.
Totally.
I agree with what they're doing.
Yeah, especially if they're trying to get 5v5 going for next Worlds. It'll take a lot of time to make that quite the showcase that they want it to be.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing is that Brutal will be like either a super sub or a starter for Equifox.
Well, I'd love to get playing again once my school year ends. That would be something that I'd enjoy very much in some sort of capacity. But for now, it'll be me investing a lot of time in an analysis, trying to understand the other 5v5 MOBAs and hopefully being able to translate that knowledge over. I think an advantage a lot of the organization-based teams have is they have access to analysts and coaches who do a similar thing, but for 5v5 MOBAs. So there could be some sort of crossover between those analysts, knowledge being shared, and collaboration to hopefully achieve the best analysis and be able to achieve big goals within this 5v5 competitive season by getting the edge through knowledge of 5v5 gameplay and metas. I think it'll be really cool to see. I think everything's gonna be really cool about 5v5. I'm really excited just to see how everything plays out.
Right.
And I think it'll be a treat for everyone.
I heard that Dota 5 or Dota 2 is a real easy 5v5 MOBA to get into. So I mean, if you just want to check that one out and start studying that one,
whatever.
That should be no cake at all for you there, Brutal.
Dota. That's like the Candy Crush of MOBAs, of course.
Yeah, I don't know if, I mean, we're already at 40 minutes here. It's Christmas Eve. I have been just thinking of a million questions to ask you. That's why I love having you on, because I know you'll always give me great answers. But I'm gonna try to bring it back a little bit. We can start to wrap this up already. It's already been 40 minutes. I know it's kind of crazy, but looking at the 5v5 map, I never actually asked you, like, what was the thing you were most amazed about? Because for me, seeing like a full 5v5 team fight, I was like, wow, like this is truly like League of Legends on my phone, and maybe even better. Like, I was really comfortable about saying even better when it comes to graphics. I don't know if there's anything particular about the 5v5 map that they made that you specifically were like really excited about, whether it was the dragons or the Vein Crystal or just the camps in general.
I'm going to have to say the dragons. I think it was pretty incredible to see that dragon fly up and land in the center of the lane.
Right.
Black Cloud. That was pretty cool to see. Like, it was gorgeous. Like, at that moment, I knew that like Vainglory had a nice future with the 5v5. I guess my main concern is there were a lot of parallels with League of Legends.
Right.
But I do feel like this is a better version of League. There's definitely going to be a lot of criticism towards Vainglory 5v5 when it first comes out from other players saying, oh, this is a League of Legends duplicate. We get enough of that already, but there's definitely a lot of genuine, unique ideas that have been integrated. There's a lot of crossovers between MOBAs, taking the top pieces of each and making them work. There's elements of Dota that have been integrated, and I think that that's really cool to see. It's like we literally brought together the best of the best when it comes to MOBAs, took their best pieces, the things that people love, and made them better.
And put it on a phone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Put it on something that everybody has access to.
And I
think that's a beautiful thing.
Right. As a business standpoint, I get when people get frustrated. Oh, this map is the same as the League of Legends map, and I get the frustration. But look, people want to play League of Legends, and if they want to play that on their phone, on the go, anywhere they want, and you can do that on your phone, and you have a game that's looks as good, it plays as smoothly as League of Legends, then Super Evil Megacorp has done it like easily.
For
and
sure.
Yeah, people can say whatever they want, and I don't care how close. I mean, the dragons, yeah, I get that frustration. Like, you could have picked any other creature, but there's lore behind it. Like, there has been dragons in the lore for a long time, so it makes perfect
That is
sense
true. It
bringing.
totally does.
Yeah, so
And they look gorgeous.
yeah, exactly. And it's not like there's, the cloud dragon, this dragon. There's not just like, they are different. The one dragon, Black Claw, operates as the Kraken, and then Ghostwing is basically just a defensive team buff. So there's definitely.
I love seeing that barrier.
Yeah, well, that's another thing we can get into is just, is the barrier going to be too strong? Black Claw lands at 7 minutes. Are teams going to be even strong enough or ready to try to take Black Claw at 7 minutes? Those are all like, a lot of different questions that we can.
Yeah.
I could bring you back on once again when the videos start getting dropped and we start getting more and more
knowledge.
Yeah, more knowledge, and we can discuss more about what are the big things that we are worried about and that will need to change. That SEMC specifically may need to change when it comes to the 5v5, because casual players will be important, and then we'll see esports. So there's two levels of opinions: casual and then esports, and figuring out what's best for the whole scene.
Definitely. You can't just look at one. You have to take everything into consideration with all the decisions being made.
Yeah. So
Endless, didn't you hear Brutal say that he's busy? We can't keep bothering him with these podcasts, dude. Like, we gotta...
You know what?
I really love being on here. So anytime you want me to come back, I'd be more than happy to make time to make it happen. It's always nice to talk with both of you.
I'm at the university as well, so it's a struggle, the testing and all that nonsense. So I definitely feel that on a personal level. It's nice to get away and think about a video game for a while.
For sure.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that's a good point. We can wrap this up and leave other questions for later episodes. I know Crude and I are both excited for 2018 as a whole, but especially to see teams such as Echo Fox and just all the teams in general form these 5v5 rosters, and all the roster changes that are about to happen in 2018 before the season starts. It's going to be insane to see, and no matter what happens, I think it's going to be positive overall.
I totally agree.
All right, Crude, anything else? Any other ending points from you?
No, Santa's coming soon. I gotta get going to bed here, so.
Yes, for us.
You
guys.
Merry Christmas and happy holidays to you both.
Oh, yes.
To all the viewers.
All the viewers and listeners, happy holidays, of course. I'm sorry, 5v5 will probably not be under your Christmas tree, but soon it will be, I'm assuming.
The delayed Christmas gift.
Yes, definitely.
I hope you all get your golden tickets.
Yeah, Crude and I may or may not have exploited the bug and got them before they fixed them, and we spent around 2,000 ice, 3,000 ice each just to get them. Other people have spent much more. I apologize that I did exploit the bug. But
thank goodness Endless was on Twitter, because he's like, yo, I think everyone's getting tickets right now. You got to get on. So I was like, okay. So I got on, started doing it, and he got his, and then about a couple tries later, I got mine. But
let's go ahead and wrap it up. You can follow us on Twitter at TFR_esports, BrutalTurtle at BrutalTurtleVG. On his Twitter's fire, guys. There's great things there.
Twitter is fire.
His Twitter is
appreciate it.
His Twitter is fire. Brutal. I don't know. You may have like 6 more hours of your day going on. Crude and I, this is the end of ours. Sleep schedule's a little different. But if you continue to play Vainglory tonight, good luck out there on the Fold.
Thank you very much.
Eventually, we'll have to be starting the Rise. I'll have to get used to that switch. But once I think of more conversations to talk about 5v5, I will be dragging you back on, no matter how busy you are, to pick your brain.
I'm looking forward to it. Thank you both of you for having me today.
We appreciate it.
Yeah, it's always a treat.
Yeah. Have a great rest of your 2017, and good luck in 2018.
Same to you both. Have a great night, and Merry Christmas.
We'll see you.
Thanks for tuning in to Time for Rolling. If you liked what you heard, please leave a review on iTunes or Google Play Music and subscribe for weekly episodes. Follow us on Twitter at Time for Rolling and at TFR_eSports. Until next week for another edition of
Time for rolling.